Hi everyone, welcome to the second video in this leadership series, and thanks for taking the time to join me here. Today's topic is being a better leader, and we're going to dig deeper into what it takes to be a good leader. If you want to watch these videos in order, and you haven't already seen the first one called What is Leadership, you can find links to it on my website. In the previous video, we explored how leadership is about much more than just having power or authority simply because of our position in the organization. And in this one, we're going to drill down into some of the elements of what makes a good leader. We're particularly going to focus on influence and persuasion, which I believe are foundational to leadership. Good leaders use their influence and powers of persuasion to win people over to their cause and get organizations aligned to a common set of goals so that everyone is pulling in the same direction. But how do they do this? Let's start by looking at influence. For someone to be able to influence us or persuade us to go in a direction we might not otherwise want to, there needs to be an element of trust, or at least respect. They need to be someone who can motivate and inspire us. They're likely to be people that we look up to or aspire to be like. When I think about my own experience of good leaders, both in the public space and in my personal life, they're generally people that I look up to or respect in some way, and I suspect this is something we all feel. That doesn't mean they have to be perfect, of course. Steve Jobs, for example, was an incredibly driven and inspiring leader who radically changed the technology landscape. But I think it's generally agreed that with his mercurial mood swings and his way of treating people with little respect or consideration, he was generally not someone that most people would want to work for. So, to become a good leader, we need to establish ourselves as someone who can be trusted and respected. One of the easiest ways of achieving this is simply to act as a role model, consistently demonstrating the behaviors we want to see in our teams. A leader's influence extends beyond the ability to inspire. It can also drive people to emulate behaviors, both good and bad. We need to be really careful what behaviors we demonstrate, as these will often be reinforced by the organization. For instance, if we are secretive and controlling of information flow, we'll probably find that our teams will behave in much the same manner. A good friend of mine had a great phrase for this: apple trees grow apples. Simply put, this means that people in an organization tend to reflect the attitudes and behaviors of their leaders. Another key thing that many good leaders have is authenticity. Being genuine and unapologetically themselves, owning all their faults as well as their strengths. Being authentic helps to make us relatable and builds our team's trust in us. But showing that level of authenticity can also be a little scary. It requires us each to open ourselves up, to be vulnerable and show our true selves, including our weaknesses. Without building that connection and trust, we run the risk of being seen as aloof and standoffish, not the type of person most people want to follow. Being able to articulate a clear vision of the future, in other words, what the world will look like once we get where we're going, is also a crucial skill. That doesn't mean that we need to be a great public speaker or even a really gifted writer. There are many ways of getting a message across. The important thing is that as leaders, we each understand the vision and can explain it in a way that helps people feel its relevance to them. It is sometimes more important to speak with passion and authenticity from the heart than to use exactly the right words. People can often be moved to feel things deeply when we show how much we care about a subject. I believe that this quote from Simon Sinek really strikes to the core of this concept. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. It's crucially important that this vision is something that others can relate to and feel a part of. As leaders, it's our responsibility to make sure that everyone involved can understand how their actions and behaviors help our whole organization move closer to the objective. It's also important to be inclusive here. It's not my or your goal, it's our goal. This could mean a small team, a larger organization, or multiple groups working together. It really doesn't matter. Collectively, we have to own this goal and want to drive it forward. An effective leader helps us all understand what the future will look like, what it will mean to us all, and how we'll feel when we have achieved it, which will help us to be motivated to drive towards that outcome. One of the most striking illustrations of leadership I've seen is the analogy of the conductor and the orchestra. I do have to thank the Advanced Management program of Columbia Business School for this one, though. In an orchestra, each musician is an accomplished professional, perfectly capable of operating independently. In fact, the orchestra as a unit can operate quite effectively without a conductor, playing the piece in time and in tune without someone at the front waving a stick around all over the place. So, why have a conductor there at all? What purpose do they serve? Well, the conductor focuses on the bigger picture, helping the orchestra all together to achieve more than each performer could do independently. A good conductor doesn't try to tell each of the musicians the best way to play their instruments. Instead, they trust in the musicians' ability to perform their roles to the best of their abilities. And the conductor seeks instead to operate at a higher level, guiding, nudging, encouraging, shaping and nurturing the orchestra and the composition towards the perfect performance. This ability to empower and trust others while providing guidance and support is a vital piece of the leadership puzzle. It's important to understand that leadership is a privilege, perhaps even a gift, given to us by the people who follow us. It can therefore also be easily taken away. The mere fact that we have authority based on our role doesn't mean that people will automatically follow us. They may do what they're told, purely because of our authority, but that isn't anywhere near as valuable as having a committed team sold on a common purpose and willing to raise a hand when things go wrong. I fundamentally believe that all leaders have a duty of care and responsibility for the teams who place their trust in them, to guide them and help them through challenges and obstacles. As leaders, we must take that responsibility very seriously. I genuinely believe that if a leader has a committed and trusting team, there's very little that they can't accomplish. And their team will even help them to more effectively lead the team through to success. So understanding all this, what can you do to be a better leader? Well, the fact that you're listening to this means that you're already interested in becoming a better leader and are open to learning about it. That's a great start. Here are a few suggestions and ideas that have been helpful to me. Firstly, ask questions. I always try to ask questions rather than make statements. This is easy to do, and it opens up a dialogue rather than shutting it down. It also gives others the opportunity to demonstrate value and expertise. Secondly, seek feedback. It's really important to listen, and I mean really listen, to a broad cross-section of people. I recommend regularly seeking feedback, not just from people who like you, but from anyone that may be in your organization. An important part of getting feedback is to not be defensive when criticized, so I always try to take whatever I can from the feedback and use it to improve the way I behave and work. Some of the most powerful lessons that I've learned have come from what I perceived at the time as negative feedback. Remember, if you ask for feedback and get something negative, it's unlikely that they're just trying to upset you. Therefore, there must be some reason that they're telling you this, and that means there is probably something you can learn there if you are able to put your emotions to one side. Give people the why. Give them the underlying reason why they should do something. I try not to just ask or tell people to do something. Instead, I try to give them the context. This helps relate people's actions with the bigger picture, reinforcing their role in driving the outcome. It's even sometimes helped me get what I need rather than just what I asked for, because they understood what I was trying to accomplish. Be true to yourself. I believe it's really important to show your true self every day and not be afraid to feel a little bit vulnerable. You have to build trust with your team, and that means you've got to extend trust. It does involve some risk, but without that trust, you can't operate as a highly effective team. And lastly, I think it's really important to learn about yourself. Take a personality test to learn more about your leadership style and interactions. I'd recommend something like the Big Five personality or the DISC assessment, but there are a wide variety out there. In the description section, I've provided links to some of these, and I've also included links to some of my results to give you a sense of what sort of content they include. All of these tests, in my opinion, give you a sense of your tendencies and areas that you can focus on improving. On a side note, I would highly recommend Columbia Business School's Advanced Management Program. It really helped me to think about my role and what I need to do to be the best leader that I can be, and it helped me to make some great friends too. That's all for today, so thanks for listening. I hope you found this useful. What are your suggestions for how to be a better leader? I'd love to hear from you. Maybe you could share a situation where you experienced great leadership, or maybe where you demonstrated it. Let me know in the comments section. Check back regularly for more on this and other topics I care about. And if you want to know more about me, please visit my website at garethbarr.com or check out my YouTube and Anchor channels. Thank you. Bye.